My experience as a CA was horrendous for most of the time, but I am grateful. The positive is that I learned law from the best and I can be proud of the kind of law that I practice and the way I practice, but the manner in which the training was administered was not something to write home about. Something that I take with me until now is when you are measured with something you don't have. For instance, I was rotated to a department that just spoke in Afrikaans. Although I did all the work that I was required to do, my life was terrible because although everybody at meetings could speak English, they chose to speak in Afrikaans. In emails, they chose to speak in Afrikaans. You can imagine the hours I spent on Google Translate trying to translate the emails so I can do what is required of me. So it seems there were obstacles to doing simple work and no consideration and intentional exclusions of black people, to be honest, and there was no need for that. I wish one day when I am a director that I can make sure that people are included and not excluded on such arbitrary basis. Hi guys, it's been a while. Sorry, it's been hectic. It's still hectic. I'm just trying to find, time to do this. So the stories that I'll be sharing today come from people who have worked in law firms or in corporate, but more particularly in law firms. So it's actually candidate attorneys. Yes, I got stories or views from candidate attorneys on their experience as a candidate attorney in a law firm. And what I wanted to do was to just shed light on the working world, what one can expect, what people have gone through, what people are facing currently, especially for guys who are going to be working soon, for people who have started working, graduates specifically, and also if you're not any of those, if you don't fall in any of the categories that I've mentioned, it's good to know, I guess. But we all know this. We know this. We face it all in our working areas. So yeah, I hope you watch or listen to the stories until the end. Share your thoughts. You can also share your thoughts in the comment section or your experiences as well. Reach out if you wanna ask anything. Yeah, I really am just trying to put that information out there for it to be received in whatever way it's received. If it's gonna help you be more prepared, then and I'm also not trying to tarnish anyone's practices. I'm not trying to tarnish people's law firms. That's why I did not put anyone's names out there. Those who wanted to remain anonymous remained anonymous. You will not hear of any name of a firm or any name of a corporate company, nothing like that, just people's experiences. So yeah.
Evening everyone, my name is Sylvia. So Atlachang has asked me to send through a video of my worst experience in a law firm. Now that I'm admitted, the top event that comes to mind was when I had to appear at the High Court for the first time. So I appeared in 2015, and according to my principal at the time, he told me that any attorney, which I think was correct because I remember reading this practice directive, any legal practitioner who has intimate knowledge of a matter can appear at the High Court. So that means from silk to candidate attorney you can appear. So he sent me on a number of these, but this was only for purposes of judicial pre-trials. So my boss sent me on a number of these, and on one such day I had to appear in front of Judge Monama. I wasn't prepared on this day. I cannot remember why. I think I just had too many pre-trials. So I was fumbling. You could tell that this chick is just not prepared. And the judge asked me in front of everyone, when were you admitted? Who's your principal? And obviously I told him I'm just the candidate attorney. Oh, that ticked him off. He couldn't believe his ears. He asked me to leave the court because he cannot entertain a matter which is patently illegal. Those were his exact words. I will never forget. Nothing more embarrassing than that. And this was a courtroom filled with other advocates, legal practitioners. The worst. Nothing worse.
There are many experiences that I had as a CA that I really did not enjoy. However, one that particularly bothered me for a very long period was when my director used to ask me to get tea for the entire team
almost once a week. I did not like this because I was not the only CA in the team, and I felt that the duty could have been evenly distributed amongst all of us. However, I found myself going to get tea for the entire team, including the secretaries and the paralegals, more often than any other CA in the team. What upsets me the most is when I became an admitted attorney, I was still being sent to get tea for the entire team, where there was a new CA in the team who had just started. I mean, I was previously told that it's the CA's job to get tea for the team, but this new CA was not doing it. But I guess this is because everyone else in the team was white. What this did to me psychologically, I cannot explain. It made people in the team view me a certain way, and I in turn started viewing myself in the same manner. I felt disrespected, and I also felt that I did not have enough time like the others in the team to do my work because I was busy being the tea lady.
Hi everyone, my name is Ayabonga Nase. I did my articles in one of the legal clinics around Joburg, and during my articles it was a great experience. We got to do litigation, advocacy and research, and having done those, I can fairly say the experience in the organization was a good one based on those experiences. And I say fairly so because a lot happens, right? And every experience at work is not necessarily bad. Some are there to teach you a lesson, which you learned. So we got to litigate, for instance, in all tiers of the South African court system, from Mass Court to the Con Court. We got to travel due to the research and advocacy. Locally, submissions in Parliament and international travel, for instance. Went to Geneva, went to Oslo, Norway, got to go to Germany, got to go everywhere, basically. But I think in that experience, there's quite a bit of other experiences that come that are somewhat subtle, which this then led to us, and a friend of mine now, but colleague then, to write what we called transformation in the legal profession, which then sought to address racism that was there at the time within the organization, within the sector itself. And from that publication, we got a lot of backtrack from the sector, the organization. People felt like we needed to talk to them before we published our article. And having had those engagements, at first it was not so good, but I think those the details that we put in that article did amount to some changes, or brought about some changes within the sector. And it was, for instance, you go to court in the organization, you find that you are sitting with an all-white counsel team, and which was a disconnect to us because at the same time you saying you're a transformed organization, albeit at a lower level. For instance, the management would be white, and then the associates and the attorneys are black, but there's a disconnect. And then the council would be white. And those are the things that we sought to address, that we as black people needed to see ourselves within the management positions. Within the organization, we needed to brief more black counsel, particularly black women. So I think for the most part the experience was quite nice, but there were those few but very important things that we needed to address regarding the racism in the organization, the racism in the sector and the profession as a whole. So I think that's where as far as I can take it.
The court will adjourn for about 15 minutes.
Court will adjourn until 11:55. Please note that during the adjournment, you're welcome to switch off. Court will adjourn until 11:55. Please note that during the adjournment, you're welcome to switch off your video and mute your microphone, and then rejoin with video and sound when the hearing recommences at 11:55. Should you exit, you may use the same link to rejoin the hearing. God. That was horrid.
I worked for a lady who was emotionally abusive. She said I was useless, I can't do anything, and that maybe I should consider an entirely different route. After I spent years and years getting my law degrees and student loans, working, all of that, just to have someone look at me as if I'm nothing and was not willing to train me and give any guidance and tell me to just quit and tell me I'm useless. That kind of language. And I don't know what kind of teaching that is, but to break me down that I could not come to work, I felt many times like quitting and giving up. And that was never something I ever thought I was capable of doing. That form of training CAs, breaking them down, making them feel like they are useless and nothing. I don't know where that stems from, but it is damaging psychologically, and that is my worst experience about the CA route. There were good people willing to lead, but there are bad apples like her. As a candidate attorney, my worst experience started when my senior associate told me she was leaving because she couldn't take it anymore. She was replaced by a man. It was a white man. He had no experience in the kind of work we were doing. My concern was whether this man would be able to train me and prepare me for my professional exams in my particular field as a CA. He said he would, but he lied. He gave me administrative work and cut off the substantive work I was doing, and my director would tell me I need to ask him for work, and I would tell her I've been asking for substantive work. We were missing deadlines because this man was hogging all the substantive work and wasn't doing it. I went from being a candidate attorney doing substantive work to a candidate attorney doing administrative tasks. I was basically a secretary. I would drive to work and sit at my desk with nothing to do, and I would still tell him, I have nothing on my desk, I have nothing to do, I have free time, give me work, and eventually started asking the other team for work. I remember one of the meetings we attended on our way there, he said, I like how this firm chooses candidates like you. You know, it's going to look so good to the clients. I'm white, you're black. I asked him if he was insinuating that I got my articles because I was black and not on merit. He practically evaded the question. He continued with silly remarks. I tried not to entertain any of his topics on race, religion, and politics because such topics at the office were out of bounds. It was clear to me that this man was racist based on the many conversations he'd started on topics such as the apartheid flag, land expropriation without compensation, his opinion on the H&M saga where the black child was wearing a hoodie with a monkey. I also felt that he had a problem with me being a black candidate attorney. He favored the white secretary over the black ones to the point where he would give me her work to do. The problem is I needed to be exposed to substantive work so that I could do work on my own one day. Also, why did he give me the white secretary's work and not the black ones? I raised it with him that this particular secretary undermines me because of the way he treats me. This one time he sent an email to the team saying I can only give work to the other secretaries and not his white secretary, and the whole team was shocked because they didn't know where it was coming from. I asked him why he would send such an email. I had printed out the email when I had addressed him, and he crumpled it up, threw it in the bin, and told me I could go to HR if I'm not satisfied. The matter was eventually raised with HR as racial discrimination. The outcome of the hearing was that he was asked to resign and that everything be kept confidential. They put the post on advertisement. No one applied, and he eventually stayed. This in turn caused me to look for another job. I was fortunate enough to see my articles and not deal with the racist man anymore. Sorry, I'm going to read the last one from my PC because I got it as an email. It reads, I share with you my experiences as a candidate attorney in a black-white owned law firm based in Limpopo. I must say that in this legal career, articles of clerkship can either make or break you. But then why is abuse of CAs a continuous trend in practice? The lack of leadership and ethics is the lifeblood of this trend. As a young man who is a breadwinner, I had issue with earning 3.8 thousand rand monthly in a big firm that paid white undergraduate students 2 times more than I earned. My rent was more than half of this money. I had to stay on my own because I knocked off late. What is more, I was required to assist and or do work for this undergraduate, while other friends of mine worked for leaders. I worked for a boss. He is black, but it seems he is white in his ways. He does not acknowledge our struggles as young graduates who are hardworking. I remember one time I wanted to abandon my articles. I was insulted for a file that I was not given instructions on, and I did not know about it. The insults included that I am stupid and will never go anywhere. I had to humble myself and accept the blame. I must express my gratitude to the passion I have for law. It has driven me beyond any form of abuse. Some of my colleagues at other firms were even sexually abused but could not speak out about it because they wanted their principal to sign their admission affidavits. Sometimes when you are in this kind of situation, you reconcile yourself that let me be the foolish one.
as they expect me to be, so that I complete this 12 or 24-month contract in peace. My principal was a boss as opposed to a leader, and with such reputation he had earned himself in this profession, I had to accept his weaknesses and reserve my bad encounters with him. He saw me as a competition instead of a candidate. In the firm I served, 75% of the staff were white and 25% blacks, mostly general workers, who had to deal with underpayment and unfair treatment. Yeah, so for obvious reasons, other people chose to remain anonymous, hence I had the voiceovers. What a struggle to do these clips. I didn't get everybody else's submissions. I wish I did, but anyway, we move. And I just did this to shed light on corporate, I guess, practice, what you could expect, but you could also expect a good experience. Some people don't go through such harsh conditions at work or experiences when they first start off working, and they can generally speak very well of their experience, their first time job, where others not so much. But one thing I will say is that you must know why you're doing what you're doing, and don't take people to heart. It's difficult, yes, we're not the same. We're not the same. I would never say, if somebody says you're stupid, you must be like, ugh, whatever. It might affect you. I was once called stupid as well, and I cried. Okay, I went to the bathroom, I cried. I was just like, as long as this person doesn't see me crying, it's fine. Is that the best way of dealing with situations? I mean, I don't know. I was really disturbed there. It may not be the best way of dealing with the situation. You may be a very confrontational person, and when you're called stupid, you tell that person, I am not stupid. Or you might just be like, cha, and walk away. So I'd say be yourself. Obviously, try to be collegial, even when people aren't collegial. I'm not a tit for tat person, so I would obviously advise you to err on the side of caution, whereas somebody else would be like, hey man, stand up against this. And yes, it's true, stand up if you've got the ability, if you can. If it's not going to ruin, your relationships or get you fired, if you don't care, then we need more people like that in the workplace. And also this all goes hand in hand with mental wellness, and how work sometimes can affect your mental wellness. I know a handful of people who, due to work, were either booked in at institutions for mental health, or they quit their jobs. We must be aware of these things, and law firms obviously need to do something about the way that they treat, not just law firms, corporate in general. They need to do something in general about how they treat, and I'm specific, Black upcoming professionals. So yeah, I hope this video shed light, and cheers.